And apparently, we have more news concerning Sony's next generation console, which is set to be released late in 2020 to PlayStation 5. And based on what we know, I believe it's been confirmed that the PlayStation 5 is going to be released for the holidays in 2020. So it's going to be out right before Christmas, definitely. They haven't given us an official date, but at this point, it'd be safe to, believe that the PlayStation 5, probably along with Project Scarlet, is going to be released in November, because when it comes to releases in relation to game console, I've basically noticed a trend, and it turns out that these releases normally come in November. I mean, you think about the Xbox One, which came out in 2013, that was in November. The Xbox 360, which came out in 2006, that came out in November of that year. And I believe the same thing is true for the PS4 and the PS3. They all came out in November. So at this point, they haven't given us an official release date for the PlayStation 5, but it's safe to assume that the PlayStation 5 will be coming out in November of 2020. We don't know what day. And as far as features are concerned, there are some interesting new features that the PlayStation 5 will have in relation to the controls. The first feature is the haptics. Opposed to just having to rumble with like the DualShock, you'll basically feel different sensations depending on like what game you play. So like if you play like a football game, you get tackled, it's going to be different than, I don't know, playing a racing game and then, you crash into another car or something like that. And I think that's something that's pretty cool, because it adds to the realism of the gameplay for whatever console players are playing with. Also, adaptive triggers on the L2 and R2 buttons for the PlayStation 5 is something that's being emphasized, and it allows the developers to customize the trigger's resistance, and it's going to be somewhat different than what you get with the Xbox Elite controller, which reduces the amount of which the trigger needs to be pulled. Basically, it's going to be something that's interesting. It gives the game a different, unique feel, opposed to what we're used to seeing in older generation game consoles. And I think that's something that can definitely be appealing in the long run. And it's probably a step in the right direction in terms of overhauling the overall gameplay experience of, a PlayStation console in general. As far as whether or not these new features will affect the price of the PlayStation 5 controller, because it's quite possible that could be significantly more expensive than the PlayStation 4 controller was when it first came out. We'll just have to wait and see whether or not these new features will affect, the value of the controllers. And based on what we know, the PlayStation 5 is supposed to be getting a new design as well. It's going to be completely, well, not completely different, but almost, entirely different from the previous designs we've seen from the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3. So, as far as the design is concerned, I believe it's been online. It's been leaked online, and it's been online for at least a month now. And you can check it out on IGN or GameSpot or places where that are basically big gaming outlets that give you a news feed and all that stuff. But basically, there is a leaked screenshot in terms of what the PlayStation 5 may indeed look like, but anything could change between now and in November of 2020. That's probably not the final version of the PlayStation 5, or not the final model of what it may look like. But if the design that is up, or the leaked design that is online for the PlayStation 5, if that is indeed going to be the final design, then that's going to be interesting. And it's something that will definitely turn eyes, especially for those who have been, huge fans of the PlayStation consoles since it, came out back in 1994 or whatever. But as far as these new features are concerned, as far as the overall, gaming experience for the PlayStation 5 is concerned. Hopefully it's something that will exceed our expectations. And as far as the PlayStation 4 is concerned, Sony is expecting the PlayStation 4 to reach 100 million in sales before the end of 2019, and that's just something that we have to, wait and see is going to happen. And it's possible that could definitely happen, considering the fact that the holiday season's coming up, and we still have a year until the PS5 is released, and even then the PlayStation 4 will probably stay in retail for like an extra year or so. So there's no doubt that the PlayStation 4 is eventually going to hit 100 million units in terms of sales worldwide. The question is, how much is the PlayStation 5 going to sell within its first year following its upcoming release in the fall of 2020?